Monday morning. It is July the 28th
28th.
of 2025 for all of you dateologists out there. And
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Practice starts Wednesday.
Can you believe it? I mean, they're head banging, helmets, one a days, I don't know, two a days, a lot of tape study.
Helmet and shoulder pads.
Yeah, helmet, a lot of contact, man. Hey, look, take a picture with your cell phone of the QR code. We are live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, lots of platforms. And then Brendan, we got the best executive producer on the planet. He's at Universal Studios last Thursday with his daughter for her birthday, working on the show. You can't get better.
And thanks to Chad for stepping in,
yeah.
our new co-producer in some of these shows. Chad did a great job. Appreciate it. Come do it.
Yeah, he's good. And Brendan, anybody Brendan brings on here with us,
thanks, old blue eyes. Yeah. That's what I call him. He's good. Even though he's a Georgia fan.
Yeah, and a Miami fan. So he's pretty good.
We don't want to talk about that.
Yeah. All right, let's get started. We got Max Howell. Call him one of the Mount Rushmores of this sports talk radio, and now he's on podcast here. Hello, Coach Howell. Frank
Good morning, guys.
Check in with us from Atlanta, and we're going to have some fun today. Max, we'll keep you on the first half hour talking about bottom line preseason rankings, who we think the best teams are in the SEC. Dave Bartoo of College Football Matrix and Lights Out Gummies will join us at half past the hour. He puts together college and pro coaching staffs, a lot of data, a lot of analytics, a lot of coaches in his search book. But Dave is out in Portland, a lot of fun. We're going to get started. Coach, the magazines have been out for a little while. You've been in coaching. You've been around this game a long time. Wednesday, like Brendan said, practice starts for teams. Some teams have already started. What's different now versus 10 years ago? We don't have 2-a-days. We don't have 3-a-days. But who you think are the best teams in the SEC and college football in general? We'll just get started. And thank you for joining us.
I think not only, guys, that we're going to have to look at the rosters, which obviously has to be first, but you got to look at coaching staffs. And Rob, I know you and I've been back and forth with you recently the last couple of weeks about that very thing.
Yeah.
And that's some outstanding coaches in this SEC. And I listen to your show every day.
Thank you.
In fact, I catch 2 or 3 shows that you guys put on almost every day now. And
thank you.
The thing actually evolves around the players. We know that with media day and all last week. But having been on the sideline as long as we did, as I did, and with some outstanding football players that aided my ability to coach, tell you the truth. But the game has changed. The administrative position now at the head coaches used to have so much of. General managers are now being hired. I really like that move, particularly with the portal and the NIL money that's floating around. In fact, the first thing, I was recruiting coordinator at a couple of schools along the way, including Ole Miss. Recruiting the high school kids is almost a thing of the past at the major college level. That's kind of like the second round choice. If you can't get the number ones you want that can play immediately, then you dip down and pull up a few high school kids. But those are some of the things that I know that I watch week in and week out. Depth, by far, not only the ability of coaches to on the sideline to be able to put the players in the right position, but the depth. And I don't know how many guys out there that will do a matrix. I was doing them back in the 60s. And I came up with the fact that I coached at Troy, my first college coaching job. We were NAIA going to Division II. We won a national championship after 3 years there. Billy Atkins from Auburn came in. He'd been with the NFL. He brought the West Coast offense. I was the offensive line coach. I called every snap Sim Bird, our outstanding quarterback that year, called. But the outlet we had with it was that the quarterback, and I know we'll probably get into that when it comes to players in this league, but the fact is they have to have such a knowledge of your system and how it affects the defense. You got to give him the ability to check at the line of scrimmage. And I know Billy and I go back and forth. We were running up scores on people because our system was so much in advance. But Billy'd always tell me, go out there and call the play, but gives him the option to check it off.
Yeah.
And I think those kind of things the fans probably have no idea about the intricacy of how the pre-planning goes in. And I came up with numbers years ago. I think in the SEC right now, if you're gonna win a championship, you better have 38 to 40 players that can play. If not, you're gonna get beat in the fourth quarter. And I hear a lot of talk about South Carolina, and my daughter and son-in-law have season tickets and have for years over there, and I've attended many games over there. But teams like a South Carolina really have a hard time competing week in and week out because they don't have the depth.
Yeah.
They came through last year, and I think they're going to be pretty good again this year. But guys, when you start watching them is after about the sixth or seventh game, check the injury report and see about those twos and threes. How many of them will have to start? It's because the ones got hurt.
Yeah.
Those are just some of the things that I've observed in the 50 plus years I've been involved in college football.
Well, it's great insight. Frank, jump in here because, like you said, the depth. It's 1 through 44. Everybody's usually pretty good. It's 45 through 66 and above, isn't it?
Well, Coach, I got to tell you, it's a pleasure being on here with you as a longtime endorser of Max and Morgan and Max and Perry from my 680 fan days. It's just great to be on here. And by the way, you have forgotten more about college football than the three of us will ever know. So I can attest to that. But, Coach, I got to ask you a question. Could you imagine 50 years ago when you got into this business with Troy and Ole Miss, with the Johnny Vaught's and the Billy Brewers and those types of coaches, that we would ever see the day where we would be officially paying players? I'm not talking about the handshake underneath the table or the briefcase. Can you imagine this happening, Coach? I mean, you have seen it all in 50 years, and look where we've come. And you're right. The old saying, it ain't the X's and O's, Bubba. It's the Jimmies and the Joes. And, the old days of Bear Bryant stockpiling 125 players is just not there anymore. So not only do you have to circumnavigate the money, but you got to make sure that those players number 50 through 75 can play. And that's where the difference is.
No doubt about that. And the money situation, we all knew. A lot of times we didn't want to know where it came from. But I just one side when I left coaching, my last coaching job on the field was at Ole Miss. And I think I reiterated this a little bit last week. I was heavy into recruiting junior college players because there's 14 junior colleges in the state of Mississippi, and teams from all over the country would send players to get them academically eligible. Well, nothing to do with ability, but the fact is the junior college system really helped a lot of the intermediate schools more so than it did the big schools. And I think the guys that could navigate through those things and the paying thing, see that the rules itself didn't really apply, I think, to those kids that they sent off to the junior college. And I remember, I could go through the names, and I won't do that, obviously, but there were kids that we recruited to Ole Miss that were on the payroll to other people all over the country. But Ole Miss had the Grove, and the only school in America that redshirt Miss Americas. I got to tell you that.
I was going to say that. Sure. Yes, sir.
And the fact is, we had a natural drawing card. I mean, that was hard to compete with a lot of those schools, and I loved every minute of it. I'll be honest with you.
Hey, my LSU degree might not be that big, Coach, but I knew smart enough to go to Oxford or go to Jackson, Mississippi when we were playing Ole Miss. I was smart enough to know that.
Hey, Max.
There's certain things you don't talk about ever. But back then, when I left Ole Miss and went to Atlanta and started on radio, I literally got calls from the SEC and the NCAA office once a week, just trying to find out how the inner system worked. And of course, I didn't know. I'll be honest with you, I didn't know. And the biggest compliment I ever got from a football coach, Jackie Sherrill, cornered me one time about 10 years later, and he told me, he said, "You made the best move that any assistant we ever had when you went on radio and you forgot everything you knew about football."
That's right. Hey, you were Sergeant Schultz from Hogan's Heroes. I know nothing.
And I didn't.
Coach, I mean, that is, there you go right there. I can remember the junior colleges, and Jackie Sherrill, that run Mississippi State had from 97 to 2000 was a 4-year run. They were so strong, had a good many JUCO players. And I think there's actually 17 junior colleges in Mississippi. When we go from Memphis down to Orange Beach, the old way, Highway 45, what I call the land that time forgot, man,
South.
you go through there through Scuba and Buckatuna.
Macomb, Hargrove.
Well, that's not on 45, but I'm telling you, Frank and Coach, and Brendan knows this, those junior colleges, the stories that come out of there are legendary. I remember Bobby Joe Franklin, former coach at Northwest Mississippi. I was over at a Touchdown Club party one time in Memphis, and he showed up, and we were talking, and it was all OTR, off the record, thank God. I was laughing at some of these stories. I almost burst an appendix. And later that night, this big guy from Wilson, Arkansas came in, Cortez Kennedy. You remember him?
You're right.
Oh, yeah.
He shook my hand. It was like I stuck my hand in a catcher's mitt. And he was so nice and so humble. And, he passed away about 6 years ago. And in Wilson, Arkansas, we go up there a lot. It's in the Delta in Arkansas, Cortez Kennedy Avenue. And, he was just, boy, when you see these guys that are Hall of Famers, all pros like that, and so many of them came up. He went to Northwest. Coach, I got to ask you now, looking at the conference right now, you mentioned South Carolina, Frank's LSU Tigers, Brian Kelly, everybody has an opinion, on if you want to make the wrong decision, ask everybody. So we're going to ask just you, Frank, and I want to know, what do you think about Brian Kelly and his chances to get LSU into the college football playoff this year? Then I want to bounce around the league because I got a lot of people asking questions, and I do too.
I don't think he's in doubt about his talent level, guys. I mean, you look at the roster, he's got the talent level, and you don't want to be critical, but sometimes the record speaks for itself. Basically, if you look across the board, he's a 9-3 coach. And I hate to tag that on him, but he stepped out himself and almost invited the comments to be made across the country about where he is and what's expected of him. And I think he's got a little security. If y'all cut him loose down there
$50 million
week or next month, there's about $65 million somebody's got to pay.
Correct.
And I understand all that side of the ball game. I really do. But the fact is I don't know whether he gets too emotional during the ball game, but I see sometimes when they get things, and he's had some great quarterbacks along the way. We know that, and I think coming up the most experienced quarterback in the SEC this year.
Yeah.
Now, if that communication from the sideline to the quarterback and to the play itself can work for him, he's gonna be fine. But somewhere, it just appears to me he lets emotion take over. For whatever reason, and we saw him blast out to the officials last year a couple of times. And I think you have to remove yourself, particularly if everybody in the world's looking at you. You got to. Coach Stallings probably was the worst in the history of the game when it came to blasting officials. But the fact is he would do it and walk away. Sometimes the other coaches are not able to do that. Yeah. So I'm just giving you an observation. I'm gonna say they got a great chance. I got them in my top 4, but I don't have them 1, 2, or 3. I got them at number 4 right now, and literally, I put parentheses 10-2, but realistically, I think still gonna be 9-3 this year.
Frank.
I think that's a right assessment, Coach. I think we're going to be right in there. I think we got a shot at making the playoffs.
Yep.
If we can get up to that 3rd spot, I think we're in the playoffs again.
Yes.
10-2, you're definitely in. 9-3, it depends on who you've lost to, who you've beaten, how you've beaten them. And look, Brian Kelly said it himself. This is my most talented team I've ever had. This is the most talented roster I've had in my coaching career. So he has laid his own gauntlet down. But no, Coach, he's not going anywhere. Like you said, that buyout's way too big, and we're already paying Ed to go drink Bloody Marys out on 38. We ain't gonna pay another one to be out there with him. Can't have 2 of them out there at the tiki bar, downing them. No, I think this is the year he's got to step up. I agree. I think we've got all the talent in the world. I think our defense is going to be a lot better. From what I've heard from spring, Harold Perkins Jr. is going to be back as a senior. They have to not corral him in the inside. I'm hoping that they give him some opportunity to get out there, get some rush on the edge. Our cornerbacks are better than they've been probably in about 2 or 3 years since we had that great run with Stingley out on the corner and Flott. So this is the year, Coach. We got to step up and do it. We had a great win against Ole Miss in Tiger Stadium, but we stubbed our toe too many times. And Brian Kelly, you got to put up or shut up. Now is the time. You wanted to come here to win championships. And by the way, the fact that Notre Dame played for the national championship last year really didn't portend well to him and his comment that I've got to leave to go do national championships. So we'll see, Coach. But Coach, I think it's a fascinating year. The storylines this year in the SEC are going to be incredible. I think Auburn's going to be better than what people think. The thing at Tennessee to replace, Imali Alva, I have no idea what's going to happen with that. And then you've got Texas. The Mannings live about a mile away from me in uptown New Orleans. I grew up with Archie Manning as my hero, watching him play in old Tulane Stadium. That kid Arch has got to step up, and there's a big difference, Coach, as you know, from being the number 2 guy coming in and spelling Ewers as to being the number 1 guy. Who do you see besides maybe Texas and Georgia? We know they're going to be up there, and Alabama is waiting in the weeds, Coach. They always do. When you ain't talking about them, that's when you got to worry about Alabama. Who do you else see maybe cracking that top 4?
See, I got Alabama right there at number 3, but you just hit on it right there. I coached at both those levels where Coach DeBoer's been. In all fairness, we won big at the lower division, and I had a chance to go to Florida State with Coach Bowden when we were number 1 and number 2 in the country. Actually, the top 5. That was the first 2 years that they started in the top 5 out of 14 consecutive years. A lot of people forget. In those years with Coach Bowden, we were playing at the level Alabama's been playing for the last 2 or 3
Absolutely.
years. We didn't have to recruit. We selected kids from there. But I tell you, guys, it still goes back. And let me touch one more thing about LSU. My inside information, and you probably know the guys, Pete Jenkins. Pete Jenkins started out.
Defensive line coach.
He's been my best friend for 50 years. And I talk to him during the season at least once a week because he's got his pulse on actually what's going on, particularly at LSU. He loves LSU.
Oh, yeah, he does. We love him.
But the fact is the game itself has changed to some degree, but it's the players, I think, and I'm talking about the administrative as well as the players on the field. That's the big change. And I got several teams that I've got question marks by because I don't know how they going to fit in this quote in the new system. Are they going to be able to communicate? Cutting the hours back for practice every day. How do the new players adjust? What does the dressing room sound like? There's so many different personalities that get involved now that make it in a critical situation. When you got 4th and 2. Trying to go in to either get a first or a touchdown to win the ball game in the last 30 seconds, you got to have some character out there that's going to step up and make things happen. And I've never been on a team that had that situation that every kid out there is looking to the sideline. They want something to come in from that sideline to win that football game for them.
Coach, I agree.
And I don't think that's going to change, guys. I really don't. I think that's kind of where we are. But Florida's another big question mark right now. And I know Coach Napier's got things, but remember he came through that same system that DeBoer did. He did well at the lower system. He struggled. I think struggle is a nice word for the things that he's not been able to get the team to do. He's got a bunch. But if Legway goes down, who's number 2?
In trouble.
What were the quarterbacks going to do, see? And that's what I'm talking about. If you don't have that roster that's anywhere from 30 to 40 players that can play, I'm not just talking about on a roster that comes to practice every day. I'm talking about that can produce for you. And my definition of production is what do you do inside the 20, either on your 20 or their 20.
Yeah.
If you can't come out of there in critical situations, then you got a problem.
And that can be said for South Carolina as well. The same thing.
Yes.
If Sellers goes down, what do they got next? That's the depth problem.
But really, who's got depth? The thing is about quarterback now, the guy that used to stick around and be your 2 or your 3, We don't have those guys. They're going to play at another school like Arizona State. I mean, Arizona State, this is what's happening right now in the era of the portal and the quick transfer, is that Arizona State was picked preseason last year by the Big 12 media at media days, 16th in that league.
Yeah.
They won the Big 12 because people, and also, I hate to say this, but it's true. When they do those picks, most people have checked out. They're trying to catch a plane. You maybe get 15 to 20% of the people there voting in that poll. It's kind of like I've learned after 12 o'clock noon, especially when the weather's nice on Wall Street and out in the Hamptons, the market can go big one way or the other, but it ain't much in between because people check out. The specialists in their books are out in the weekend at Bernie's, man. That's where they are. All right. So let's get back in here. You talk about Florida. Who's the backup? South Carolina. Who's the backup? Hell, Auburn, Jackson Arnold. But, Deuce Knight is from Lucedale, Mississippi. He's a true freshman. Nope. I mean, the Texas is the unicorn here. Quinn Ewers and Arch. So now we're not talking. I want your thoughts on Texas A&M. And Dave and Coach, we'll just keep you about eight more minutes, and then we're going to bring you back on again next week. But the last 8 minutes, I'm going to go rapid fire. Mike Elko, Texas A&M. What's it like when you've got so many people with so much money trying to help you that you can't get everybody on the same page? I mean, I know that's a crazy problem, but I thought I'd ask Coach.
Well, I don't disagree with that, and I think Jimbo probably helped create some of that attitude that's out there now. The way he handled the program, got a little arrogant along the way, but the fact is, and I think Elko is a good example of what he's done in his past coaching stops. If your number one goes down, then you better be able to run the football and have some adequacy at other positions other than your quarterback position. And that's not really hard to do. If you recruit to that. I mean, if the recruiting system in your school is not geared to the number one player you got to have every week is a starting quarterback. But if that guy goes down, you better have a number two that's surrounded by adequate players, either good offensive linemen and or great running backs. And you have to change your philosophy. You may not win the ball game by 20, but you win it by 6, or you win it by 3. You kick a field goal. I'm just saying there are other ways that you have to analyze your program. I know sports talk shows, and guys remember I did that for a long time.
And you're great at it.
In several big markets. But the fact is the fans want to see that number one throw that 50-yard pass down the field. Yeah. They love that. Yeah. But that's not going to happen. That's not realistic in today's game. And so my point is, once again, is planning. And I think A&M certainly got the money to bring a general manager in and let Coach Elko coach the football team. Let the coaches do what they do best. Take some of that administrative responsibility off of them. And I think to me, that's the way the game at the top level is going right now.
Yeah.
And Coach, as well as I do, you're right. Everybody likes to see that old quarterback throw that 50-yard bomb down the field. But as well, every game in the SEC is won on those defense or offensive line. Them big boys down there. And that's what you need to watch for. And frankly, Texas A&M was a little light in the shoes the last couple of years. They didn't have those big boys up underneath there. And they didn't impose their will. And that's why they lost all of those games when they were expected to do well. That's why Jimbo Fisher's selling Wendy's hamburgers right now. So
on the ACC network.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So you're exactly right, Coach. Now I'll tell you, Texas A&M, Coach, they've got that little brother syndrome. They got to deal with Texas. And look, that their horror story came true when up at the SEC mic on media days 6 years ago, they said Texas is coming to town. They've got a lot of work to do, but don't for a minute don't think they got enough money to do it. All they got to do is Buckles McHenry just has to go tap another oil well out back on the back of Florida. Right?
Every time you gas up or go to the urinal at Buc-ee's, you giggle. I mean, isn't that guy's an Aggie, I think. But
that's why that brisket's $12 a sandwich.
That's right. And by the way,
that's right.
Go the Love's Travel Plaza, which if you go from Memphis to Birmingham, it's only Love's. There's no Buc-ee's yet, I might say, but they're building one at exit 28 on I-40 on the other side of Memphis. And over here in Arkansas, in West Memphis, they're building 2 Buc-ee's now under construction. But I'm telling you, you go to Love's Travel Plaza, boomer sooner. Net worth of well over $9 billion. So Oklahoma's in good shape there. And then there's the pilot stations, the Haslams. Check them out. Checkerboard, orange and white, the big orange. That's all Tennessee. So everybody's got, when you buy an Apple phone, Tim Cook, wore down. I mean, and think about Ben Hill Griffin.
Right.
What a legend. What he was in the citrus and farm, Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. Coach, before you go, a couple more things. You are in Tupelo, the birthplace of Elvis Aaron Presley. I mean, that's a pretty special place. I got to ask you now, real quick. Let's go to Vandy. I got a chance to talk to Diego Pavia at Media Days. Quickly, to the point, and I said, Diego, what'd you learn in year 1 that you're going to apply going into year 2 about taking care of your body and, how to play quarterback in this league? And he goes, I gotta definitely know when to take a slide. he goes, he's a state wrestling champion, 2-timer from Volcano High School in Albuquerque. And I saw his mom being interviewed. Beautiful lady. And Diego's got a big family. Coach, how much fun would it be to coach a guy like that?
Well, I got to tell you, I was so fortunate. I coached him at Smith in high school. Regardless of what's coming along now, nobody said he never ran better than 4.5, but he never got caught from behind either.
He was football fast.
At 16,000 yards, nobody's caught his record yet.
Nobody will.
And the other 2 I did, of course, Mick Andrews was defensive coordinator when I was at FSU. One corner was Deion Sanders, the other corner was Leroy Butler. And both of them in the Hall of Fame.
Wow.
And by the way, I coached the safeties in that, and both of them were drafted in the 1st and 2nd round, but didn't make a mark. But Mickey had a knack now, I'm telling you, for putting those guys in the right place at the right time. Of course, Deion had so much ability. All the talk he does now in Colorado and wherever else he's been, guys, I love his saying, if you can do it, it ain't bragging. And I'm telling you, I will give you, and I'll leave you with this. His best sport was not baseball or football. His best sport was basketball.
Wow.
He could stand under the basket in a 46-inch vertical through the net, top of his head.
And Coach, y'all did that on the road. Y'all were road warriors, man. They were shutting down wide receivers in their house.
Yeah,
that's how much talent they had out there on those islands.
Any place, anytime, anywhere. One more question, Max, before you go, from Buddy Martin. Hey, Max, what's for supper?
We pulled that off of Hee Haw.
I know.
And I'll tell you how good it was for me. I wrote 2 cookbooks off of that and made a decent living.
Damn right. Damn right. And I don't know what you're gonna say, but I know what's gonna be the last thing you say. Followed by a big old pitcher of sweet tea.
Billy, I was born and raised in South Alabama. That's all I knew.
Hey, Billy Currington's got nothing on you. Sweet tea. I mean, absolutely. Coach, let's do it again next week. I'm gonna call you after the show. From Tupelo, Max Howell, one of the Mount Rushmores of this business. Like Buddy Martin is a writer, and Tony Barnhart, but blessed to have you on here. Thank you so much for your time, and you just keep getting better. Whatever you eat, whatever your workout regime is, people need to do it because you are a journalistic badass. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Always my pleasure.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. That is fun. And Dave Bartoo is on with us right now. Let me say this real quick for Dave. Oh, my God. Oh, wow. Look at him out in Oregon.
There you go.
I'm feeling, oh, my God, I'm getting fired up. Let me say real quick, ready to upgrade your boots. Every week, Hewlett & Dunn drops a boot of the week on their Instagram. Sometimes it's a rare exotic leather, sometimes a classic Western, but it's always a head turner. I promise you that. Their feed is loaded with new arrivals, custom fits, and special offers you won't find anywhere else. Want the inside scoop on what's trending or ready to buy the pair you just saw on screen? Scan the QR code on your screen. It'll take you straight to their Instagram at Hewlett & Dunn. Hit follow, check out their latest posts, and if you see a pair you love, don't wait. and DM them or tap the product tag to buy instantly. You can also hit the link in the chat room or go directly to hewlettdunn.com if you prefer to browse the whole collection. But if you want first dibs and real-time deals, the Instagram feed is where the action is at. Hey, Dave Bartoo, I hope everything's okay with your pup. Man, thank you so much for sharing your time with us. You're on the coast of Oregon. Is that the Pacific right behind you?
Yep, right there. Look at that, baby. How gorgeous is that this morning?
That is beyond. Wow. This has got to be the greatest. Frank, wouldn't you agree, Brendan? The greatest background ever for Sidelines, the Pacific coast of Oregon with David Bartoo, college football matrix, and lights out gummies. And by the way, I know you've got a QR code for our viewers. Thank you so much. How you doing? Let's talk some football.
No, I'm doing great. I'm about to be even better. As much as I love being on the air with you guys, one of the reasons I'm up and at 'em this morning is about a mile and a half from here, over that way, is a real big jetty, and I'm actually just going to hoof it over there. I'm going to make a walk. Got my bucket, got my baits, got my rod. And I'm just going to walk to the jetty. Slack tide is at about 2 hours. So as soon as I'm done, I'm going to take about a 20-minute walk over there and start putting some baits in the water and see if we can catch some fish for supper.
Y'all got some sockeye? Y'all got some sockeye you going to be honing in on?
Actually, the thing that go out here is Chinook and the fall cohos. August they'll start running in, but the boats are already coming out of the jetty this morning. They're heading out. A lot of guys are going out 35, 40 miles for tuna right now because they're in as well. So you'll have the tuna about 35, 40 miles out right now. And then in a couple of weeks, tuna will move on. Salmon will start coming in, and boats will start piling up right outside that jetty all the way out to the 10-mile buoy.
Man, I got to tell you, if it runs, swims, flies, or crawls, I like to eat it and chase it. This is awesome to us. Dave, Frank Duffy, you've been on with Frank before are you in Big Canoe or New Orleans right now, Frank?
I'm actually in Gulfport, Mississippi, heading to New Orleans for a little lunch. And all this talk about fishing, I want to go out and get me some reds or some yellowfin out there in the Gulf right now.
Absolutely. Dave, we have had SEC Media Days. I've been watching ACC Media Days. Frank has been friends with Chuck Oliver for a long time, and that's where I found you, was on Chuck Oliver's show.
Frank.
Yeah. And I love what I hear. We're SEC myopically focused, but I love the ACC, the Big 12, all these conferences, because I love the game coast to coast. You're an Oregon Duck grad. By the way, do they ever blow duck calls? 60,000 at Outson Stadium, blowing a double reed or a single reed duck call simultaneously, as they say in the country, at the same damn time, JW.
Wouldn't it be great if I think that would be a cool tradition. I mean, it wouldn't be as loud as the cowbell. It wouldn't be like a Dave Swade, but it would be cool. But they sell little plastic duck calls like that. A few people have them, but for whatever reason, it's not a tradition to make that noise at Austin.
Well, couldn't you see, because as a long time 1,500 plus confirmed duck hunts, couldn't you imagine 60,000 people calling during the fall with migration, ducks just circling and coming on? I digress to Gummyville, but anyway.
Yeah, Rob, you can't take your shotgun to the stadium.
Listen,
I don't know how they do it in the South down there, but you can't take the shotgun to the stadium.
Yeah,
but Rob, you can bet if they did fly in, Phil Knight would have a damn logo on them.
Yeah, he would NIL them. Dave, what
would be Nike Ducks, baby? Nike Ducks for sure.
Dave, we got to look at it now. Looking at the SECs, I know we talked about it last week with Media Days. Your top teams in the SEC. Tell me about what you see the SECs this year in terms of, is it the best league? Is the Big Ten better? What do you see happening in college football? We'll bounce it around.
Oh, okay. What do I see happening in college football? Let's focus on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's focus on that. And I was thinking about this morning when we were driving out here, and I was listening, and there's a lot of Arch Manning hype, right?
Yeah.
Dude's never played a game. And I get it. He's on a top 5 recruiter. He's got a top 3 offensive coordinator, right? So everybody should be successful at Texas if you're good enough to be a quarterback there. Everybody,
Yep.
okay? Now, just because his name is Arch Manning, okay, if it was Arch Browne or Arch Bartoo, be a whole lot different, okay?
Yeah.
And I don't care whose name is on the back of that jersey.
Yeah.
Yogi Berra said it best. 90% of this game is half mental, okay? And so
That's right.
I don't see, like with a Texas, and it got me thinking, okay, this is the odds-on favorite to win a national title with a rookie quarterback and a head coach that hasn't been able to prove in his career to win anything with his talent, right? I mean, anything. And come close, but when it comes to national championships, close is as good as finishing last, right?
Yeah.
As Ricky Bobby said,
It
second
feels like
to first loser, baby. That's
Yep.
it.
That's right.
But getting back to your question on college football, the state of it, and it got me thinking, is there a team today with coaching, with players, continuity that could even come close to competing with any of the Georgia or Alabama champions of the last 15 years?
No, I don't think so.
So there's my first point. College football is worse now. And it's not going to get better, right? We're not going to have the player continuity. We're not going to have the coaching continuity that we've had in the past. I think football, it might be, the parity is there. That's going to be my second point. The parity is there. But that elite championship team, the one that takes our breath away, right? That Georgia defense, the going way back, you know, when I really started getting into college football in the you know, the 90s, that Washington Husky defense,
Yes.
where it just took your breath away.
90.
I think that's gone. And so, but with that being said, then I start looking at all of the teams competing for a national title this year. And there's an incredible amount of parity. And I know media and fans love to talk about the positive, right? And to me, a surprise can be both good and bad. And
Sure
everybody
can.
loves talking about the good. I think the bad is every team you talk about that could be a national title contender has a significant weakness. Okay. Texas, you got a rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
And you don't have an elite head coach. You have the best offensive, defensive, special teams coordinator trio in the country, but you don't have an elite coach and you have a rookie quarterback. You know, you go over to Alabama, rookie quarterback, Georgia, rookie quarterback coming off of a barely top 25 defensive scoring efficiency last year. One of Kirby's worst. That guy, you know, they talk about, oh, Mike Elko's taking over the play calling, and Dave Randa's taking over the play calling. When's Kirby Smart to go, enough of this crap? I'm taking over the play calling. I'm the best of the last 20 years, you know?
Yeah.
And so you go through, you look at Penn State and you got a good head coach, but you don't have top 10 recruiting. And you got a new defensive coordinator that takes 2 or 3 years to learn his defense. And Ohio State, rookie quarterback. Ohio State, I wouldn't even bet a dime on those guys.
Yeah.
Not just because they won it last year. Let's say they lost it last year.
Yeah.
Right? You got a rookie quarterback. You got an offensive coordinator that's never called a play in his life in Heartline. They're just giving him the job to try to keep him around.
Yeah.
And you got a new defensive coordinator from the NFL.
Yeah. Matt House showed how that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Well, now there's
He was a linebacker coach, but
now there's a difference here though. Matt House, we had a grade on him. Matt House is below average. We knew he was going to stink as the defensive coordinator at LSU before he even called a play. That was just next man up, and the numbers, you look at the numbers and it's like, nope, this ain't going to work. In fact, if I was on this show 2 years ago, I would have been saying LSU had the second worst defensive profile in the entire SEC.
no doubt.
We knew it was going to be bad. I never thought in the world that you could be a top 10 recruiter and have a defense that bad, but there it is. And then they get rid of them and bring in some decent coaches, but then they go next man up with Sloan.
Yeah.
And you know, LSU, again, a top 10 recruiter full of weaknesses, and their weakness is their coaching staff is just not good. Brian Kelly, I think he's good. Yeah, go ahead.
Losing Denbrock was a big hit, and we knew it was a big hit.
Yeah. I think it was bigger than people thought. I think people thought Matt House was better than he was, and he is who he is. He's not a defensive coordinator. Matt, good linebacker coach. Should be calling plays on defense, buddy.
Correct.
You lost Denbrock, but then you went next man up with Sloan, and in Kelly's history as a coach, if I got my computer out and started going through, I would tell you his recruiting is good where he's been: Cincinnati, Notre Dame, LSU. He maintains that brand level of recruiting. He knows how to win football games, but he struggles getting the full staff together. And even at Notre Dame, he didn't really have a good staff to go with the talent until the latter years he was at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And now he's at LSU. That's his struggle. He cannot find. He went out and got Blake as a defensive coordinator, which, I mean, that's a good defensive coordinator, but he's not a 4-star.
Yeah.
You know, now defensive coordinators in the SEC, little sidebar, are weak compared to the offensive coordinator. This has gone to a offensive coordinator league. And if you look across the league, almost every single team, their OC is better than their DC on paper. They grade out for their career better. But to me, I think fans were excited when they got rid of House, which was the proper decision. But then they were really excited because they brought in Missouri's defensive coordinator, who has promise, but he wasn't proven elite, right? He wasn't Pete Golding. He wasn't Pete Kwiatkowski. Heck, even DJ Durkin, has a better number. Clayton White at South Carolina has a better number. Brad White at Kentucky has, if you're LSU, that's who I'd go get. I'd go try to steal Brad White from Kentucky because everybody's jumping the ship from that thing, and that's probably the best one available. But I digress. My back to what you were saying, Rob. I really believe the biggest takeaways right now for college football is there's a lot of parity. There's no elite teams like like there used to be, and every single championship team, we can all find holes to poke into them, which makes it wide open. It's going to be nuts this year. I have no idea who's going to win this thing.
Yeah, and you think about this, and Frank, I know you'll be going to the betting window out there in Las Vegas, family friendly, of course. But I look at this big picture, and I'm like, man, it is wide open. It's a scramble. I mean, it is definitely, life is like a box of chocolates, Forrest's grandmother always told him. You never know what you're going to get. I don't see a team right now that scares me. Sergeant Hartman in Full Metal Jacket, he goes, work on your war face. You don't scare me. I don't see a team out there that does that to me. All right, let's flip down here. Dave Bartoo is with us right now. Lights Out Gummies on the coast of Oregon. That is spectacular back there, the background. And I imagine it's kind of chilly. And wow, that is.
I'm waiting for the galleon from Goonies to come sailing by at any moment.
or Dave, the only thing better than the galleon from Goonies would be if he walked behind you in the background. You know who he is, Sasquatch.
Yeah, no, I was really tempted. Honestly, I was tempted to make the walk, so I'd actually be sitting on the jetty doing this.
Well, next time do it. I mean, because
the breaking waves are pretty loud, and even here, I opted to stay up here at the house and not right down there at the beach. So
I don't know who your internet provider is, but whatever you got is incredible. We're going to take advantage of it. We got about another 15 minutes, but Dave, I got to bounce around here and ask you about Florida. I look, we talk about DJ Lagway. Is he hurt? Is he okay? Whatever. I saw him at media days. For a couple of things. He's an impressive young man. I mean, mature beyond his years. But I want you to talk about Florida. And, Brendan and Buddy have GatorbaitMedia.com. I'm just curious because I had them last year when everybody was picking them at 3-4. I said, I think they win 8 games, and they win 8-5. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball. Promise you, if I did, I'd share it with y'all. Brendan, go ahead.
Well, I just want to say, it's not confirmed, but it's not being denied or confirmed, especially on Shane Matthews' show this morning. Edgar Thompson was on that Lagway was in a boot potentially this weekend.
Wow.
Yeah, ankle, maybe a calf strain. We don't know. It's not confirmed, but it's not denied by beat reporters and people who are out there. They know we're not saying it is, but that's what I've been doing for the last 25 minutes. But it was in one of the chat rooms, and Shane Matthews is a pretty credible show.
Yes. Yeah.
And Edgar Thompson, who covers the beat, said they couldn't confirm it, they couldn't deny it. That's all we know. But hey, that plays into what Dave's saying in a sense of like, offensive coordinator. You got, it's sort of predicated on all the same thing. If this guy goes down for Florida, can they adjust? Do they have the right coaching? Do they have the right guys to step up the next thing? I think that becomes a house of cards for them pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And is it a house cards for everybody though? Let's be honest. Let's not point at just Florida. We know that this is a quarterback driven league, right? Just like the NFL, college football. I mean, if you didn't see 2010 and what Cam Newton did with only one other NFL draft pick, and you can't say it's not a quarterback driven league, you're out of your mind, right? And now with the contracts and players being able to bounce, good quarterbacks that maybe aren't even NFL worthy are gone. And so the depth isn't there. So whether it's Florida or anybody else, I think this goes back to the parity, but it's a house of cards for everybody. Think about all the teams in the SEC. If their quarterback number one goes down, dude, my tickets are on StubHub yesterday. Can I get $2 a piece to get my tickets back? Because ain't nobody going 500 or better with a backup quarterback in the SEC. I think that's been exacerbated with NIL. And then Florida, though, I'll just keep saying it. Look at that schedule, man. It's just to get through all of that at 10-2 or better to make the playoffs. Look, I believe in Napier. I think he's a good head coach. I believe in Billy Napier. I think he's a good offensive coordinator. Ron Roberts, I think he is a solid, not an elite defensive coordinator. Florida, are they a top 10 recruiter? No, not really. They're more of a Penn State, 12, 13, 14, 15. So you got to have that special quarterback. So I think with Florida losing a Lagway would be a little bit bigger. Losing a Lagway with that surrounding talent and that schedule. If they make the playoffs, if they're 10-2 or better, yeah, exactly. With Lagway, and the same thing you can say with South Carolina. I put those two in the same boat. You got LaSella Norris, you got DJ Lagway. You have two schedules that are the physicality of those schedules, folks. When you're looking at these things, looking at a schedule, it's not just the recruiting level, it's not just the coaching level that you're looking at. You're looking at the physical. Look at that. Florida at Miami. Look at that. Okay, so Mario, as a head coach, he's kind of like there with Sarkisian in terms of hasn't won the big games, but Mario can recruit, especially the big guys. Florida should win that game. If everybody's healthy, Florida wins that game. But the physicality of that game, the punishment for earning that W, the very next week, they got to go to Texas. So we're talking about, and I think all fans would agree, I think you guys would agree, that depth is an issue in college football. Well, you have a schedule this physical, right? How do the Gators, not just DJ, how does the whole team hold up and be upright come game 12 in November? It's impossible task for them with that schedule.
Well, one thing that happened, and Frank and Brendan, y'all saw it, and Dave, last year Florida's hanging around in the 60s in recruiting. They get hot and win 6 of the last 7, close out and pull like Dallas Wilson from Oregon, who's from Tampa. I think he went to Catholic, back to Florida. They finished up number 7 in the country. Folks, let me say something. Dave, tell them real quick, your lights out gummies. Tell them real quick what all you got and about the 25% off for Sidelines people.
Yep. Use coupon code Sidelines. Don't know where we got that idea, but we're using coupon code Sidelines. 25% off anything in your cart. But Hemp for Pros, Pro Athletes Hemp Association, it's a group that I work with that we started with NFL alumni to help with their aches and pains and sleep. And the two best sellers, shockingly, the sleep gummies and the sleep tinctures. Those things I know personally, and Rob can attest to it. Those things will knock you out. So hempforpros.com, coupon code Sidelines for 25% off.
Thank you, man. And those things really work. And Dave, looking around now, another school I'm interested in is Ole Miss. I live in Memphis. Lane Kiffin, 3 of the last 4 years, Ole Miss has finished top 12. He's done a great job of finding quarterbacks and developing them. Austin Simmons, man, what a prodigy. I mean, I was 19. I was a freshman in college. He's 19. He's already working, I think, on a master's. This guy's special.
It's Lane is probably my favorite story this century of a coach that has gone from on paper with us, and we've been tracking coaches since 2010. Every single one in the FBS, FCS, and NFL, we have them all graded year by year and for their careers. Lane is probably the biggest story in terms of turning themselves around. Most coaches don't do it. When a coach starts bad, they stay bad. When they start good, they generally stay good. Some of them will regress, like a Gary Patterson. Some of the old curmudgeons refusing to change. I'm going to do it my way forever. But Lane turned it around. Lane is one of the top 5 offensive coordinators in the country. He's a top 10 head coach. It's just what he has done is amazing. He brings in Pete Golding, who is a 4+ star defensive coordinator. They have one of the best offensive defensive coordinator combinations in the country. They have one of the best total staffs in the country. But they missed their opportunity, man.
Yeah.
That was it last year because they got Lane. He built a staff. Then they adopted NIL earlier than anybody else. They spent more money faster than anybody else. And their player identification was excellent. Now look at the NFL draft for these guys last year. So their playoff, it was excellent. And they had it all in place. I mean, they were good in 2023. They had a top 10 staff. They had a top 10 head coach. They had a top 10 offensive defensive coordinator pairing. Their offensive scoring efficiency and defensive scoring efficiency were both top 10 last year. And they lost at home to Kentucky.
Crap the bed.
Mm-hmm.
And LSU and OT.
Yeah, but just that one loss to Kentucky at home, right? And to me, when people say let's expand college football playoffs to let teams like Ole Miss off the hook when they suck at home, no way. I don't care. Look, I do believe talent-wise, there's no question. I've said the SEC has been the best conference the entire time I've been doing this. Okay, there's just no argument in it. People talk about Big Ten. Dude, the SEC has half the top 25 recruiters. The Big Ten has 4 of them. So just shut up, okay? College football runs through talent, and I don't have the time to go through all of this, but I have the numbers to back that all up, and it's not even close, okay? Coaching-wise, there's really good coaching in the Big Ten. That helps balance it out a little bit. But it's just for Ole Miss. I think they lost too much. I think the field is too level. Their history has been recruiting in the 17, 18, 19, 20s. That is not good enough to win a national title. There's only been 2 national title winners the last 25 years that were not top 10 recruiters the previous 4 years. That was Clemson with a number 1 first round draft pick quarterback. Okay. And that was Michigan a couple years with a first round drafted quarterback. Other than that, the other 23 national titles have all gone through top 10 recruiters. So unless Ole Miss has a first round, and he could end up being that way, but I can't see it today. I don't think any of us can see it yet, but the promise is there. Unless you have a first round, basically first pick level kind of quarterback, if you don't have the horses, you're not winning a national title. So I think Ole Miss takes a step back in spite of all of that coaching they have. I think the talent that they lost, I think the pig went through the python, and there's It just shrunk down, and it's going to be a lot tougher this year than the previous 4 for Ole Miss.
All right, 2-minute warning. Just one more thing.
My boy's wicked smart. Wicked smart.
Yeah.
That boy is.
He's a double notch spy. He's a double notch spy, JW. On whose side? Great James Bond quote. Hey, Dave, look, man, we'll get you back on next week. Before you go, real quick, 90 seconds. Oklahoma Sooners this year. You buying them or you hold?
Dude, I gotta sell.
Sell.
No, I gotta sell. I don't want to, right? I mean, I'd love for Oklahoma to be just a dark horse and come out of nowhere. But look, Brent Venables' first season, he was -5 games coach effect. And coach effect is something I've been keeping track of for over 15 years. Guys in their rookie seasons, if they are -4 or worse, only one guy, Luke Fickell, has survived the next 4 years. So while Brent Venables is an incredible defensive coordinator, I'm still betting on that first year sinking him. He brought in an offensive coordinator that on paper looks an awful lot like Seth Luttrell. He's trying to pass in the SEC. I don't think you can be pass heavy with the speed and talent in the SEC. So as much as I'd love Oklahoma to take that top 15 talent they have, just like Penn State, just like Florida, just like South Carolina, I still got to bet against Brent Venables because of that first year.
All right, and before we go, I know you're a great writer. Your next book, you've written Escape from Alcatraz. The next one is Why Does Everyone Want to Escape from Pullman, Washington? But we'll get into that next week.
Hey, and Dave, I want to pitch one quick feature. We got to do something called the Bartoo 3. You give 3 picks. If you can't come on Friday, I'll give your picks in the Friday roundtable section. We'll bring it to you by the gummies, but I guarantee you, whatever your matrix is, if we can't go 2-1 every week with your wicked smart picks for the public, I'd be shocked. So let me know if you want to do it. I'll pitch it.
So right now in the cabin, my computer's running. I set up an AI agent. I fed it all the 2024 play-by-play information, over 160,000 plays. I spent 6 hours teaching it how to read it. And what it's doing, it is spitting out 134 links, giving me the profile of offensive play calling for every team last year, situational, and I'll have all of it posted on my Patreon. And I have a ton of fun stuff.
So Dave, then you and I can talk because I'm dying to do AI and sports podcast.
Yeah.
I'm dying to put this all together. You and I are simpatico, and I'm training AIs to do all sorts of stuff right now. Let's talk because this is the new thing.
I'm going to be on that jetty here in a couple hours. Give me a call.
All right,
give me a call.
Hey, Dave, look, Dave, I'm a Colorado guy, so I'm a West Coast guy. So you have to. I live in Florida, but my home is out your direction.
He is a West Coaster. Dave, awesome stuff. Thank you so much. I'll call you right after the show. Thank you. Awesome.
Love you guys. Be good.
Man. College football matrix. Hey, real quick before we go, Landers Ford, folks. If you're looking for your next ride, this is great. They've got all of the F-150s, the Broncos, Ford Ranger, Maverick, Escape, Explorer, Mustang, Mach-E, and more ready to roll right now. Take advantage of special low APR financing, lease deals, and up to $1,750 in Ford retail bonus cash on select models delivered by early September. Check their homepage specials for deep savings, LandersFordMemphis.com. Great people. Brad Bellamy, the GM. Tell them you heard about it on Sidelines, $500 off. And look, Rumble Boxing, the older we get, and we get better with age, the stronger we get. Learn to fight back, okay? And look here, Frank, awesome stuff. Brendan Martin, executive producer extraordinaire. Coach Howell, Dave Bartoo. I want to say, to my dad, love you more than anything in the world. Rest in peace. The biggest fan we've ever had on the show. Yep. He was watching the show up till the end, Friday's show. I mean, you can't get better than that. And I think Work's the greatest healer of them all. Hug the people you love. Yeah. You can't tell them that enough. And God bless you. Thanks for watching. We'll be back on tomorrow. We got the best audience and the best people I could ever dream of. Blessed in more ways than I can ever imagine. Good night, John Boy. Good night,
Grandpa. We love him, Rob.
We love him, Rob.
We love him, Rob.
Thank y'all,
sir.
Thank you so much.